Right now, we as a people are in a different time. We are in a, it's called mathematically a nodal point within time of our history. The fourth turning, as it's been called by a few authors, where the 100-year or 20-year cycles, which is basically, as they say, the next war starts when all those who fought the last war died. Um, Over these few years of my life, last 4 years have been quite interesting, to say the least. Situations that I had gone through in the military have popped back up from the bigotry and racism I saw when I was in the military. I was in Iceland, didn't realize it at the time, but now that I know, the Admiralty was attacking me, cutting off my career, getting into my private life. There's one dude, Marcus Mendoza, he's just lazy shit. Broke up me and a girlfriend. Now I realize it was on their behest. They made Kennedy a chief, master chief, probably first class rule, probably master chief as well. Basically, they were rewarded for bad behavior. Then I get to Demnick, NSWDG. The harassment continues. The captain of the command was ended up made an admiral, not because, well, he stopped. He was rewarded for being a bigot. This dude Hammett apparently was given a commission as a SEAL for being a bigot, as he was taking credit for a program that I created that was out of my mind. Seems to be a running theme with these bigots. Over the last few years, we've defined the id externalized antagonistic personality, which roughly corresponds within behavior sets in the DSM-5 as the cluster B personality traits, which is those are your psychopaths, narcissists, and borderlines. My main focus learning about the narcissistic personality or the emotional, or people who externalize people as emotions. And with a psychopath, it still does the externalization as emotions, but everyone's objects. So it's emotion objects versus just objects. It has been an odd journey. You know, over those last 4 years, I've been able to figure out, was it 3 years, I think. It's 2020. So it's 2.5 years. It's felt like 4 years now. Probably been longer because they've been apparently tracking me for a while. Um, Learned that why my life went sideways because every time I would go to do something, they would interject, find a bigot, and interject and screw up my life. That came about through me getting a job when I immediately got out, twice, one with Bombardier, one when I was electronics, then another time stealing my ideas while I was at Full Sail, and then any time afterwards. And then, of course, within the recent moments, making all this money off my name. And then when I say, you need to give me my money, you need to quit using my name, they prove and show that they were never planning on returning my capital to my name, i.e., therefore stealing my speech, since money is considered speech at present, which, whatever. We're going to use the 1%'s definitions against them. So stealing of my speech. Learned that the white nationalists have been infiltrating the officer corps of the United States Navy and even in the Army, because we saw what Michael Flynn. And well, uh, with their goal of working with what's called the family to overturn the Constitution. They're pretty close to get rid of the Fourth Amendment through the Patriot Act, which hasn't been overturned yet, but should be. Yes, law enforcement can give you different tools, but not tools where you just think you can just walk in and search and seize, which is what they got way too much free reign. You know, that situation a couple of years ago, I first assumed it was the Joint Chiefs because there was this dude Dave. You know, when I put an EO in against trying to stop the admirals from turning the command I was at into a fleeter command, as opposed to what it is. Mostly because they were just using names like and McRaven and probably McChrystal because McChrystal taught McRaven. And then you have Stradivarius, and then there's other admirals, of course, who in their cohort they've taught. Southern bigots use the SEALs to create their own little shock troops. You know, Eric Prince, then start Blackwater and keeps changing the names. I don't know what they're called nowadays. Figured out that McRaven and some of the admirals they made rank by red selling different uh, different officers to destroy their careers. Now, granted, being red celled, which is going in and testing the security of that particular commander's command and stuff, that's supposed to be done, and it should be done, you know. But what they were doing is they would consistently, constantly do it, and they would do it under the idea of training. This is what they did to Admiral Borba, drove them nuts. And they probably presented something and told him to make a decision, or you know, and it was probably something shysterly that they set up, because the way these id externalized antagonistic personalities do is they create a problem and then they create this, problem solution uh, mindset, and then they externalize their negativity onto a positive person, the person who's actually working hard and can do something. They they are very good at making other people believe that the best person is a horrible person, because then they take the other side of that. So this where it's, if that means if that person's bad, or if that person's that, then of course, and it implies that they're the opposite of that. And they're very good at doing that. Everything. It was just like just 2 days ago, I placed out, I stated something, and I called it, for those who are clinically cluster B, and I said that. And there were some persons who took annoyed with it, but I wasn't even really upset by that. It was more, I wasn't even really upset. I was like, I understood. You think, people with like PhDs got worked years and years and years to create these clinical ideas in psychology, especially clinical psychology. My thing is marketing. But as I've now let the world know, but then I've been, studying. I was more of a Jungian not psychologist, but theorist, who's more philosopher, less clinician, so to speak. And studying on my own, set theory, mathematics, Kolmogorov theory of sets, how he uses different series of sets. Uh, and that was, whenever we're reading that, I was going, man, that was some crazy world. It took me a while. I had to teach myself a bunch of other stuff because I was trying to figure out Gödel's theorem and you really understand it. But anyways, um, learning about the right side of the brain, trying to understand feminine language and logic because I was accused of impropriety, not because I did it, but because I didn't have sex with her, with these different women, and they believe, well, which then goes into the feminine, learning the feminine language processes opposed to the masculine, which is feminine emotional logic, which is the cluster Bs, or the it externalized antagonistic personalities. They think from emotion to logic, which is feminine, which is an id-based position. You know, the id and the superego imbalance creates an ego, but most get out of balance. It just becomes just either on either side. I personally think all the different clusters A, B, and C just are disjointness of the different types of um, there's a disjoint within either the ego or superego. But that's something for somebody to end up getting their PhD on, and maybe even a Nobel Prize for. Um, but that's just things of where we're at, how the past has come to play, and from my perspective, and what I've been doing. But the reality is right now, we sit at a moment. All of these situations that I've gone through have uh, brought me to a point in understanding. Oh, not even just that, where over the it brought me to a point of understanding where of human nature, and 'cause I was once asked years ago by a woman who was I thought I was being romantic, and then I was being a jerk, I guess. It wasn't being a jerk. It was more like, oh, shut up, blah blah blah. I took advice of another woman, but I didn't realize that woman was actually throwing me under the bus, purposely knew it would piss that chick off. But she asked me years ago, and it was one of those questions that you get, and you kind of look at it for, and you're like, well, that's a good question. And she asked me, what is our nature? And you know, between that and asking, what is the not so much the seat of the soul, what is consciousness? Those big dumb questions that seem simple, and it's funny how simple questions lead you into diabolically complex answers, or more questions. The questions of the answers, the questions add on into infinitum. But that's not where we're at right now. Going through, I was looking back over time, how this all started, dealing, dealing with a very sad woman who one time I, thought highly of. And in the end, I feel sorry for her. Her, as a child self, told me the story of her life. Her mom, I guess her dad was always gone or whatever. She was, looks like only about second or third generation 1%. So she wasn't old money. Or she had close to, maybe it's probably, but, or like the dad was oldish money and the mom wasn't. And then mom was a drug addict. And then the nanny was her drug dealer and pimp. And just partied. And then when the little girl tried to tell her dad, mom turned her against her dad. And if you've never been on the opposite end of the confusion that these types of personalities do to your brain. It's um it's a kick in the groin. The only saving grace for me is that because of my studies of philosophy and religions and metaphysics, I'd already gone through the conjunction of the opposites, so I was able to, uh, and the unus mentalis and partially into the unus mundus. Um, when I was in my early 20s, so as the whipsawing inflamed my amygdala and squeezed my pineal gland, I'd already seen these things. I can see the light wisp of certain things. I can see, and because of my studies on logic, I can hold longer pattern, chain patterns in my head. And my intuition is not separate. It is, for the most part, it is part of my conscious self. So I was able to hear all three of her personalities, id, ego, and superego, and even named them. But let me tell you, the if you've never been through it, the confusion in there as the child who's trying to. I feel sorry for what she did to her dad. I feel sorry for her dad trying to show love to his daughter, but his wife just completely screwing up the entire family. And I feel sorry for those children because I even just listening, talking, a few brief conversations I was had where the the super ego self or the demonic self, if you want to go into metaphysics, I guess, or the false self that's held within the superego, did just did a number on all of his kids. His son's married to a horrific person in Italy. His daughter couldn't, the golden child, couldn't keep a marriage, which not surprising. And then you know the scapegoat, which was the youngest, which was the one I was dealing with. Uh, he's just became just a drug addict, but lived off her trust fund. And I think presently he's probably in jail or has gotten out. But you know, then this drug dealer is thinking he was going to attack me, and then with my knowledge of what these cartel members do, and the yeah, I knew that because of the Snowden leaks, if I searched certain things, they were going to be picked up, and I just said what I had to say because I knew I was dead. I knew there was no way I can get out of this, but I'd be damned if I was going to let all I can do is use my mind. And in this situation, I realized that we're at the brink of World War III. Civilization is teetering, or I should say, democracy, Western civilization, democracy itself is teetering. We have authoritarians roaming. And what does it mean by authoritarian? It means one dude telling all the other people what to do. That people have no say of what we think. And while, yes, it can be messy, if you have two total direct rule, it's totally messy. But authoritarians always can come out of democracies by using the people against themselves. We see this what's going on in Australia, not Australia, but in China and Israel right now. Where Netanyahu's totally trying to turn himself into a king on religious grounds. He's a tyrant. Or if he achieves breaking the Supreme Court, he will be a tyrant. Make no mistake about it. And in looking at these things and seeing what's going on, there was right now Ukrainians, basically a third world country in Eastern Europe, are fighting for their lives, are fighting for the very existence of themselves. And Rasputin has been able to infiltrate the far right to the point where you have representatives in Congress going, oh, well, we'll just let him die. And they're Caucasian, so it, and they're Christian. So it doesn't make any sense, except they basically, I think they're just cowards, the biggest of cowards. Secular Christendom it needs democracy, or you get a theocracy, which is what they want. They want a theocratic state, but then that always leads, and they want it, and they know this. It always leads to there. You have the far right evangelicals speaking about creating the rapture, but the thing is, it's there's two theories on the rapture: is like go before or after the rap. Afterwards. It's World War III, they rapture, they disappear, then everybody's left behind and it's a wasteland, but they've gone, they've dipped, or it's World War III or four or whatever, and the world's decimated, and then they rapture. But either way, most want to believe that they disappear and leave everybody else. That's the whole Left Behind series. And if that's going to happen, it's not for them to create. That's the whole thing of destroying. Putin used that to influence Brexit, and then Great Britain believes that they're going to just get off on the Commonwealth, but they're not going to recolonize these countries, especially like in Caribbean and South and in Africa. Why should they want to be part of the Commonwealth if they? Because right now, the Magna Carta has been shredded because King Charles won't won't uphold contract between myself and the previous sovereign, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. So, this has been a trip. I cannot say this more than any other way. You, freedom. We've gone over this for months. Tyranny, freedom, and slavery. Rights without responsibilities are tyranny. And this is what autocrats do. Even they might say, oh, yeah, you might have a few, quote, rights. You can complain to that person. But in the end, I tell you what to do. That's what happens in China. That's what Trump wanted to be. Didn't want to leave. He lost the election. Even with all of the voter suppression going on, he still lost. Brian Kemp shouldn't be, same thing with Eppin in Georgia, Brian Kemp. Fortunately, Warnock was able to win, but we'll see. Hopefully, Miss Abrams gives it another go, but this time without the voter suppression. And then you have the situation where, you know, Senator Schumer so much contempt for the voting populace instead of championing trying to either hold Trump to an account through Congress, which is where the president, the body that's supposed to hold the president in account, not the executive branch, just kind of working with the 1%, undercutting me, undercutting Black Americans, from forcing them to telling them, look, you need to do this, you need to pass voting rights. It was more fun for him just to make a lot of noise and say, well, If you'd only try a little bit harder, throwing the Constitution under the bus, then calling it radical. No, dude, it was radical for them not to frickin' uphold the Constitution and kick out those senators and representatives that didn't do their job, and they allowed a coup to happen. That's the one thing the Constitution doesn't allow. It's designed to stop jerk offs like what Trump pulled. The President of the United States stepped foot onto the state house, onto the Capitol grounds through his agents, and he actually wanted to go onto Capitol himself, saying he is above the people. And then Schumer just kind of was like, "Well, it's just politics, man. Just us playing, ha ha. Make you work hard. Maybe you get a little. Here's a breadcrumb. Give me lots of money. Oh, actually, I don't need you, but I can make you think I need you, and I'll just get it over from these guys over here." We learned that neoconservatism and neoliberalism are the same thing. Control. It's basically corporatism. The people have been removed from their voice and from their power. Then you had Kathleen Kennedy go, "Oh, we'll just keep kicking this down the road," because after she fired Gina Carano for calling her a racist, it's funny, a bigot calling Carano, who's fangirling over a black dude, as being a bigot. Yeah, that's just straight BS. Um, yeah, that was just straight BS. Um, yeah, that, like, so, anyways, there's just so much on my mind right now because coming up, all of these things over the last slowly we've seen from 1619 through today how wealth, or not so much wealth, riches, people, generations of constantly, in order to gain more capital and riches for themselves and to eventually become kings and queens themselves, they keep taking power from the people. Irony is, Her Majesty granted me a dukedom, which means I got to go deal with the land of the Scots because but I have a feeling that there's part Scottish in me, or but it was if it wasn't for the Scottish thing, it was definitely for the fact that I grew up as an altar boy in both Catholic and Episcopal church, and I'm actually baptized in both. Go figure. Yeah, that was a nice one there, Mom. um, will the Scots leave? Probably will. But all I can ask them to do is to not. King Charles believes he thinks he's going to be a tyrant. Well, he says he won't be, but that's what they always start. And you have the state, the, show me your company and I'll tell you who you are. Well, his company is the Queen Consort. And when you look at her behavior, there's no doubt about it. He will, if he is not held in check, become a tyrant and get down and go secular Europe and the United States. Because the Magna Carta will be shredded, and then everyone just goes for a free for all. Who can swing their pecker out the most? I've been fighting an admiral, former Admiral McRaven, and probably in many of his other cohorts, as they used the SEALs to harass and harangue. under the guise of training. And then once that was done, then they used their private military contractors, or I should say used, are still using. The Constitution hangs and teeters. It's been shredded. Trump did what he was supposed to do. He was supposed to shred the Constitution. And he did exactly that. And in this moment, we have the opportunity to reshape the world for the, not just the world, but America for the next 100 years. Put out different technologies and to be greater than what we thought we could be. We're looking now at artificial intelligence and machine learning coming online. Then, and people are blown away with what artificial intelligence can do now. Wait until you, if you're blown away by what artificial intelligence can do now on a linear system, wait until you start to see what happens when it's done on a quantum system. It'll be even mind numbing. It'll be even more mind numbing. Where will we be as humanity? Where will we grow to as humanity? Where will we be at the next 100 years? We are sitting at a tipping point. We are sitting at a nodal point. You know, right now, Russia believed we were weak because Manchin wouldn't, and the 1% wouldn't negotiate with Black America, but they did do a whole little thing of, oh, here's some uh, here's a few little tidbits. Where is that? I think, and under most circumstances, yes, it's President Biden has been phenomenal under normal circumstances, but these aren't normal circumstances, and since these are not normal circumstances, we should not accept normal outcomes. 1% financed Donald Trump. As much as they loathed him because he's just new money, him and his family, he did pretty much shred the Constitution. You hear how the so-called evangelicals, basically just white Christian nationalists, and mostly just minus the Christian, just mostly white nationalists, authoritarians, who believe, well, if we get one strong man in there, then we can just go, we don't have to compete anymore. Well, not that they actually have to compete it anyways, because they've always created this two-tier system. And it's not the fact that people can like whoever what they like, is that they believe that they have the right to use the authority of the state to enforce their hate or their externalization of their own negative self, specifically onto Black Americans and other persons they can other. And in so doing, has distorted the Constitution to the point where the executive branch, like right now, this is what this is what the Constitution is supposed to look like, but this is what it is right now. This, oops, with this being Congress, if it's centered, right? Okay. Oops, okay, that's why. Doesn't make any sense. Um, this is right now is how. Actually, it's not even that. This is the executive branch with, and then this is the vice president. This is more, and then this is where. Oh gosh, dang on it. It's supposed to be grouped. Um, this is where we are at right now, and that is more reminiscent of what we tried to get rid of, which is the British system, where the head of state, which is the king or the sovereign, king or queen, is considered a god in itself. So when they switch the things to under God, they were destroying the Constitution and trying to turn us into a theocratic monarchy or an autocracy, a theocratic autocracy. And they've been working at this for hundreds of years now, and they're pretty damn close. But as in, the prequels of Star Wars, that one famous line. So this is how democracy dies, with thunderous applause. Well, if that's how it dies, we also know how it lives, with a demand of the people to reinform our politicians. They work for us, not us work for them. And they and it's high time they remember who their boss is and that they are sent to Washington to work for us, to make our lives better. And in so making our lives better, we hand them power. That they are our voice and they speak for us, we, the people. But they have forgotten and they need to be reminded. For the thunderous applause that must be heard is ours to be remembered by them and whoever does hold office. We are the people of the United States. We are the power that is the motive force that drives history forward, our collective history, all of us as the people, not just who you think you can use. It is our thunderous applause that will remake this great land. Right now, China is waiting for us to fail so they can now colonize Africa and then take off and wipe out Taiwan. Once they're done with Taiwan, they'll head north because Russia's now weak, take over there. Will they go after Japan next after that? Authoritarians have to constantly have outside threats. And it would, from a geopolitical position, controlling Japan means I now control all of the first island chains from Japan all the way down into the Philippines. Think they'll stop then? They already showing that they want to take over Australia, doing a hefty job of buying all that. We already seen how they're getting all these countries, including Commonwealth countries, in debt traps. It's not good for trade for Great Britain, Ireland, and Scotland. Ireland stayed in the EU. They weren't stupid. There will be over 1 million deaths just on the battlefield, not talking about civilian deaths in Ukraine before this is done. Either on the Russian side, if not deaths and maims, at least 200,000 in deaths. Putin keeps going to keep doubling down, keep doubling down, and keep doubling down until he has no more resources. And then he's going to squeeze the resources. And then if he's not stopped beforehand, the Russian Federation will fall apart, which is the exact opposite. There are those in the United States, that's what they want. It is to me, it's contrary to what I want, because they'll just create more chaos. And those who want the Russian Federation to fall apart want war. They want to feed off of that hatred and that death because they see all the oil and gas and they go, we, these smaller countries now, the Russian Federation is broken apart. We can just take them and pick the pieces of their bone, and pick the meat off their bones, off its bones. Then back home, 1% are using this whole trans thing to divide the country. Of course, my stance has always been is you got wiggly bits, you go to the wiggly bits bathroom. You're in any, you go to the any bathroom. Unless you get your freaking plumbing changed, you go where your plumbing is. Dude wants to dress up in a skirt, dude can dress up in a skirt. That's all I am. Whatever, dude. If a chick wants to do whatever, but you're not playing on the same teams. A dude chick's not going to be on the going into the women's basketball just because he can't make it in the men's team. Should have worked harder, figured out a way. That's what men do. Oh no, the men. I'm a woman now. Yeah, yeah, whatever. Granted, there is scientific evidence of such things, but because the XY, they have a strong. It's just not fair to women. Period. At least in the sports arena. Now, what you want to do in regular business, which is thinking or whatever, you do you. But as far as sports, no, because that's where we teach people about fairness, about how to develop teamwork. It's in sport that we learn a lot. That's why sport is so important. Sports, music, arts, arts and sciences are kind of the same thing. You need to understand the science to really truly understand the art. You don't have to understand it in depth. Say you don't know be great at trig to play music, but if you understand trig, it kind of helps understanding the sine wave and understanding music. But you don't need that. But they do help create teamwork, listen, increase your listening skills, learn how to work with other people, to reflect back to us as humanity what we are, so we can grow as a species. And then science is to study what is not there, to see what is there, to come back to be Prometheus and show I have brought fire. Gods had shown me what is not, what I did not know. My eyes are open. But they use these things to destroy us, and then pick our pockets. Has been going on this is part of humanity. But every so often we have to, reset the playing field. And that's where we're at right now. Right now, Prince Harry is being called back. He will not probably be allowed to return to America. Lady Markle does not understand what this is all about. I asked her to go to Great Britain, learn under Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, with her mom thinking her mom's thinking she's showing her shit, whispering in her ear, this shit's bigger than you. No, I ain't gonna do that. Oppositionality. If it was out of actually strength, it'd be a different story, but it wasn't out of actually strength. It's just out of fear. Just oppositionality. It's putting billions of people's lives in danger. Because she has no idea. She thinks, oh, it's just about manners. No. You were not raised as an aristocrat. You have no idea. You just can't be a little shit. She needs to spend a year away from the family, training, studying, in London, learning what it means, learning how to be an aristocrat, without her husband, learning the idea and the meaning of service. It's not all about her. She wanted to go into, uh, in her youth, in younger days, but she didn't pass the test into foreign service. Told her, okay, take both tests. You have the resources to learn both. No, I ain't gonna do that. You won't tell me what to do. Okay. Once again, this is her mom. I could tell the rhythm is different when it's her mom talking shit. Black Americans, and I kind of get it sometimes because Black Americans tend to be oppositional and well, white people did that, we can't do that, which is stupid. But then they try to enforce it with force. They've been trained. Black Americans have been trained to hurt each other. You know, you see that what's within how the '90s crime bill was just horrified and destructive to the African American community. Remove the men from the homes and then put them and then indoctrinated them all into being jailhouse persons, institutionalized them. Lady Markle has to agree to learn how to be an aristocrat, to learn what it means about service and the sacrifice that service demands. A year away from the family, a year learning and studying, a year to pass these tests, a year to understand that the power that she holds is far more than she realizes, and it is not to be just whipped around lightly. Because it is parent. She actually, even the little girl and her real self actually does care about Prince Harry, which makes it really more annoying. But we live in the land of the land of fakeness. But and doesn't listen to advisors, doesn't understand, and that's not even the fact it doesn't understand. It's not willing to learn to understand. She's about to lose everything. I somehow have to get to the coronation no matter what. I will not. Prince Harry has had my back, and as a soldier and a sailor, but mostly as a soldier, you leave no man behind. Even if it's I'm just out there with the regular folks, I still got to get to London. King Charles, and if King Charles does not uphold Her Majesty's contract, the Magna Carta is shredded. He'll act like it, as I said before, like nothing's going on. But oh, he won't be a tyrant. But if it's not him, if it's not Prince William, well, maybe it's Prince William's son. The only reason the House of Windsor has stayed in power for so long, not just the Windsor, but the monarch, the British monarch, is because of the Magna Carta and him shredding it. Yeah. And it also means that the Constitution is done. Because right now, the Constitution is not in effect by precedent. Trump destroyed the Constitution. When his agents stepped foot onto the House Capitol and the Mitch McConnell did not did not vote to remove him from office, and then smugly laughs at the Democrats for not holding him to an account, he has shredded the Constitution of the United States of America. And it's only a matter of time before the United States falls. And Xi Jinping is just sitting back waiting. All the authoritarians in the world are going, yep, you can see how they're doing. We'll get off the dollar. They're not going to do this. The black folks are not going to hold. They're not going to, because everyone knows black folks, when it comes time to really doing something, they never do. can. They'll march when they're under pain, but they won't march for something. But unfortunately for them, they fucked around and find out, and about to find out, or bleep it around and whatever. I don't ever watch the damn videos, anyways. He's not on YouTube, at least. Um, because what the Tennessee Three did, that was brilliant. Because before, as Schumer was saying, well, that's radical. You can't remove uh, persons for not upholding the Constitution. Yeah, you can. It's in the 14th Amendment, but don't want to use it. The Tennessee Three showed the duplicity of the Republican Party at present, duplicity of those who just hate for hate's sake, to externalize their own hate. They have no qualms, and they just set precedent. If that was not a brilliant political mover, I don't know what was. Because now, the right down from the place where Martin Luther King gave his last speech, where he felt the darkness that was coming near him. He knew that its time had come. He said he saw the mountaintop and he wouldn't get there with them. And he knew this is that time. This is the time to stand, not when it's easy, but when it's difficult. Not when you're in a lot of pain and want to scream, but when you want to be courageous, but when it's quiet and you have to be courageous. When Black Lives Matter marched, the bigots just laughed. It was, oh, just the niggers and nigger lovers letting off some steam. It means nothing. They just turned it around and used it to create violence, and then blame it on the marchers. Fundraise off of. But now, this is different. This is very different. The coronation of King Charles III is, what month is this? Is May 6th. Martin Luther King, is it May? Yeah. I believe was assassinated on May 3rd, May 4th. His last speech was on May 3rd. I've been battling McRaven. He's been trying to make sure I don't get to DC. He stole my original Jamaican passport, trying to erase me. His goal is to eventually kill me. I'm pretty much out of money now. They had 1% his cut every time I would do something. They would undercut it. Try to do trade trading. They know my positions. They would hit my positions. That was Schumer's little try a little harder. That's what he's pretty much. These politicians, they forgot who they fucking work for. Well, I don't demonetize my YouTube channels. I can care less what language I use. I'm just so annoyed by that because he's Jewish, and that's exactly how he walked right. It's like they walked right into the trope, the Jewish trope, into the anti-Semite trope. It's brilliant, dude. You knew what the right thing was to do, and you didn't do it. And they expect that. So now, Leader Jeffries, Madam Speaker Emeritus, you're going to have to use the Constitution to remove certain lawmakers. We now know the process. The people know the process. 14th Amendment. We know that it was an insurrection because the it has been in the judicial system. Those persons who stepped forth onto the grounds of the Constitution, onto the floor of the House and Senate, were agents of the President of the United States, therefore making it an insurrection because they did not receive permission. The President of the United States did not receive permission for his agents to step foot on the floor of the House or the Senate and was not hold. And those persons who did not vote to impeach the president and remove him in the Senate are in contempt of the Constitution of the United States. Therefore, they are in contempt of the people of the United States of America. And therefore, it is up to the people to remind these politicians who they work for. And the only way that that can happen is the people must remind them. It said it takes 3.5% of the people on the streets to have a high probability, what it is said, as the data shows, of forcing immediate change. Across the world, people have watched the United States and they're going, the dude did a coup, and you're just sitting there twiddling your thumbs. You can't speak about democracy. You won't even uphold your own. How can we say we are the leaders of the free world if we choose not to lead? I'm doing this video for a GoFundMe. I know McRaven, because he wants me to be broke and not have any capital to reach and to step this up, is going to tell wherever they're playing this, they're going to say, don't do that. We'll do it over here, and then won't give it to him. We won't, and we're going to control him and tell him what to do because he's our nigger slave. You go fuck yourself. I am a Duke of the Commonwealth and United Kingdom, and more so than that, I am an American citizen, and you have trampled on my constitutional rights. And God help you, because I am going to regain them if I have to return from hell itself. Try me? Oh, yeah, please do, motherfucker. You would have killed me long ago. That's fine. Your little mini me was a little bitch. And the only reason Hammett ever made it through is because you little fuckers helped him. He was the biggest pussy I've ever met. He should have never have gotten a trident. But you gave him the trident. He didn't earn it. White nationalist pussies. I've never met a fucking bigot that I actually respected. Because I've never fought a bigot. But then they'll start stomping about man to man bullshit. They're always a bunch of bitches. As I said, I've never fought a skin. Usually five. It's like you had your little fat fucker thinking he was going to kick my ass. Please. Now you'll send someone more trained. You actually already had sent someone more trained, but whatever. You're a traitor. Period. Full stop. The goal is to get me out on the street so they can kill me and make it look like an accident. I need a motorcycle and I need to get to DC by the 3rd. I'm getting there, not by the 3rd, by the 30th. Sunday the 30th, high noon. And then stay there until, if possible, until they pass, until they remove and then pass, remove those individuals who did in the House who did not vote to impeach the former president using the 14th Amendment, and those in the Senate who did not vote to remove him from office. Now you can't remove all of them because Mitch McConnell, and that just creates chaos. But you can remove the top three. Now, if Mitch McConnell wants to play more fuck games that he usually plays, remove him, or he can because of his years of service. You can ask him to resign. If he doesn't want to resign, then remove his ass kicking and fucking screaming. As far as the House, well, McCarthy, you only needed, well, same thing. And then you remove these, and then that same day, you pass voting rights, gun control, and the budget that will set this country on course for the next 100 years. And that's only the beginning because your work is not done. Because as we know, if you're a mountaineer, getting to the top of Everest is technically the easy part. It's getting back down to base camp where most people die. It's the years of work of raising your kids to believe in America. It's the years of work, working hard, and saving and investing and building a greater life for yourself and the world. It's holding the politicians at all levels accountable and going after your American dream. That's the hard work afterwards. Kicking out those traitors and then passing these legislations, that's the easy part. It is only the beginning. But the beginning, it must be had. We know these truths to be self evident, but some believe that their evidence of that is their belief that they have the rights over others because they feel like it. Free people. Communication can only exist amongst equals. And if others, a few, can say that you are not equal, then they do not have to communicate. Let me inform you The commons is all of us. We are all sovereign. We are Americans. And the world is going to remember. We are the land of the free. We are the home of the brave. And we, the people, will not be held down by the few who have forgotten who we are. If you believe in America and democracy and the idea that, hey, the lowest Benjaminite could one day rise to be president, i.e., king for his turn. Or that you can live your dream, whether that's just being stupid and just want to live out in the middle of nowhere and hunt rabbits. Who cares? That's your dream. That's your American dream. It is the will of each individual that creates the greatness of a nation. And it is the nation that holds the will of each individual in positive account that grows. And so free people conduct business with other free people. And we believe and live and look towards whatever you believe is God, or how you believe you are to reach the divine, as long as it is freedom to the other. This is what the founders showed us. This was the divine inspiration of the Constitution that these one percenters are trying to destroy. Yes, it was secular Christianity. And yes, all, as we are seeing throughout the world, to include India, everyone gets there, because we all know can't be God without having a religion. Can't, you know. But secularism is to all religions. How your faith, because almost all of them in their core, before they go off and do their weird stuff, it's the golden rule. Treat others how you wish to be treated. Judge not, lest ye be judged. Yeah, it's a lot harder to do than actually to do, but it is that. It is that was difficult, that is worthy of the goal. Who are we as a people? Has America fallen? There are those who are licking their lips and saying that we have. They don't know this country. I've ridden over 30, 40 states. I can't say you can know everything just by driving through or riding through, but I will tell you this. I know one thing about this country is we are proud, we are caring, and we are mighty. And sometimes we forget that. I don't believe I have the right, but I am asking anyways. I am asking you as Americans, as a fellow American, to remember we are mighty. And our might is in the belief that we will do what is good and just and honorable. Yeah, and a little shady as well, but we outdo it with the good and just and honorable. Just a little bit. We believe other people have rights, that they are individuals, and that God brought them here for a purpose, as He brought us here for each of us individually for a purpose. And it is us to work with our hands and our minds, our souls and our spirits to create a better world, to be more than what we are in this moment, to be something mighty. There's something about being an American, man. I don't know. I can't explain it. That's what I noticed when I would go to different places. And there's nothing wrong with those other countries. And like I said, I loved Iceland. It was a cool place. And I loved Europe and different places I've been through my short term in life. And our food is all jacked up and we do all kinds of dumb shit. But you know what? It's good to be an American. It really is the coolest country on earth. We just got to remember. I'm asking for whoever who's listening to this. I'm about to put out a GoFundMe page so we can raise some capital to properly march on DC and to meet on DC at April 30th at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And that wherever you are, whether city, state, the same time, wherever you're at in the world, if you believe that you you have the right to create a future, I don't know. I think people are listening. I know that the Americans are, but wherever you're at within the world, if you believe that you are free, that you believe in hopes and dreams and ideas, that you're bigger than the moment that you sit upon, join us. Join us. Remind the world, remind those authoritarians who believe that they think they own and control the world, remind them it is we, the people, who are the power. The revolution will be streamed and televised. Make them remember who we are. We are the people. We are the people of the United States of America. And on April 30th, 2023, in the common era after the passing of Jesus Christ, in the year of our Lord, at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, we, the people, will remind the world who we are. Senator Schumer, Leader Jeffries, Madam Speaker Emeritus Pelosi, steel your will. We, the people, shall soon arrive, and the world will know and remember who we are.